Hello, folks, and welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Dave. That's Scott. Today's movie is The Silencers, starring Dean Martin, 1966. Also starring with Dean Martin, Stella Stevens, Delia. I'm not sure how to pronounce her first name. It's Daliah Lavi. So I think it's Delia
Oh,
Lavi.
Dahlia. Yeah,
Dahlia?
maybe.
Dahlia, that's probably it. Victor Buono as Tung Tse. It's the bad guy. Oh, jeez. Arthur O'Connell as Joe Wigman. Robert Webber was
Wigwam.
Sam Gunther, which is very funny. Wigwam, yeah. James Gregory as McDonald, who's the head of ICE. And he was the Deputy Inspector Luger on the old series Barney Miller. So every time I see this guy in
Uh,
anything other than Luger, I keep expecting him to act like Luger.
oh, damn. Yeah.
Um, Nancy Kovac as Barbara. Uh, Roger C. Carmel, which a big character actor at the time, was Andreev. And this was something of a shock to me. I've seen her name in the credits, and I was trying to place her where she was at. Sid Charisse, beautiful, beautiful dancer. God, she was gorgeous. She was Sarita. She didn't look
Ah,
anything like she normally does. Sid Charisse always had really dark hair, usually kept it cropped.
so here she was
She
like,
had
I
to,
think blonde.
yeah, she had like a blonde like a dusty blonde, dusty
Yeah.
brown hair, long. The way that they had her dressed is not how they normally have her dressed when she's
Yes.
doing her dance and everything. And it took me by surprise. I was like, holy crap, that's funny. And the lady who did her voice was Vicky Carr because she didn't sing. Vicky
Hmm.
Carr sang for her. Vicky Carr was a big singer back in the day. And then they have a bunch of character actor names that I'm not going to go through, but those were the big names in there. The writers were Donald Hamilton and Oscar Saul. The director was Phil Carlson. And I'm getting some of this technical stuff out of the way just so we can really have a fun talk. These were based on the books by I forgot the guy's name.
So that's what I was going to
Donald
ask you.
Hamilton. Yeah,
Okay.
Donald Hamilton. And the books are actually very serious. The books are kind of like along the James Bond level, like
Yeah.
very
Oh,
serious.
there's definitely a James
There's
Bond vibe.
these books, this movie, these movies are there's four movies: The Ambushers, The Silencers, um, Murderers Row, and The Wrecking Crew. For me, they're all very funny movies. I love all of them. This is probably out of the four. I don't want to say my least favorite, but I see where they were going with the other three. Whenever you
Is
watch
this
the
one of
other,
the first? Is this the
yeah,
first
this is
one?
the first one.
Okay.
It's the first in the series. So some of the singing, some of the jokes, they figured out how to polish them better in the next three movies. And by the time you get to the last movie, you're like, oh, now they've got it. They've got their rhythm.
Right. They
You
got it
want to
down.
see them do a couple more, but they didn't. They only did the four with Dean Martin. And for me, I love these movies. I know they're kind of sexist. I know they're kind of tongue in
Uh,
cheek for too many people.
Well, it's
For me,
really.
I love them. I just love them to death. I think they're
Well,
absolutely
I,
fantastic.
I I will say this. I didn't hate the movie, but I did
Right,
walk away from it thinking I would watch another one of these
right.
because I see the potential. There is a lot to look at in these
Yeah.
movies.
Boom, boom.
Anyway, yes,
Waka
it
waka.
has a James Bond feel. But here's what I
Yes.
thought of last night. I am watching Dean Martin's Rudy Ray Moore moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
it's just that's how it felt. It's like I'm going to be this action spy, and I'm going to have all the ladies, and
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
freaking over the top. But I'm going to tell you what I really loved about this movie was just looking at the shit from the '60s. I collect a lot
Yeah.
of mid-century antiques and stuff. So I was like, oh my
Oh
God,
yeah,
I want so
yeah.
much. And of course, some of it was kind of ridiculous that they thought would be
The coffee
fancier,
pots,
high yeah,
the double
coffee
coffee
pot.
pots
How
pouring in.
about the I am not going to be dried by spinning towels like at a car wash?
I
Uh,
don't know how you get dry on that.
no, that's just not kind of. I was waiting for somebody to lift a leg or two, but it's like, wait a minute, bend over or what? But yeah,
I love what Scott's talking about is there's a scene early on where him and his secretary
well, yeah,
craves it.
yeah, Miss Craves it. Yeah, so
Just call me by my first name. I don't know your first name, darling. It's Lovey. Your name is Lovey Craves it. Crazy.
yeah, so
I love
it was at that
God.
point I had
Yeah,
I had an Austin Powers moment at that point, and
yeah,
this is what I get from this movie. I get
yeah.
James Bond, I get Rudy Ray Moore, and I get Austin Powers. It's
Wait until
just,
you
yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying it was just the vibe I got. So it was entertaining,
Uh-huh.
uh, but yeah, it wasn't great. I wanted to see. I guess I wanted a little more action.
The
So
next ones have a little bit more action. When you get into the wrecking crew and the ambushers, um, quite a bit more action. It's not like James Bond action, like
right.
especially the newer James Bond, but it's pretty good for the time. What I love about the character of Matt Helm in these movies, I started reading one of the Matt Helm's books. Can't remember the name of the book that I started reading, but I set it down because what I was expecting, and I knew better. I knew better going in. I knew it wasn't going to be the movies
Ah,
because I have read about it before. But when I started reading it, I was like, this is too serious. This is like,
oh,
this guy's an alcoholic. Like
oh,
he hates
damn.
being a
So
spy. He doesn't want.
well, see, they captured that at the beginning that he really
He,
didn't want to be a
he's
spy,
getting
but he'd
sucked
rather
back in.
be a photographer for
Yeah,
a gentleman's magazine.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So interesting.
But it was just a little too heavy for me. I can go back and read it now because now I've got the mindset for it. But the thing that I love about Dean Martin in Dean Martin movies, especially these four, is on the very surface. On the very surface, he's just this callow, sexist philanderer.
Mhm.
But throughout the movies, and you see it a little bit in this one, but in the next three, you really see that Matt Helm would have probably been killed 100 times over had he not had his female entourage
Oh, well,
that
hell,
keep
even in the first one,
yeah,
he gets
that
saved right off the
keep saving his
bat.
life.
Yeah.
Um, and it's amazing because he knows there's at least one or two movies in there that I know that I've watched where you can see it in the character's face that he's just realized all these women just have saved his life again,
Yeah.
and he's like, thank you. You guys basically saying, you guys are great. Thank you. I got to go finish saving the world, but if it
Yeah.
wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to do it kind of thing. And it's just, so whenever anybody watches one of these and they sit there and talk, and I've read and seen where people are complaining about the Matt Helm movies, and it's all new young people mostly.
Well, it is
But when I
because
see
you
that, I
can't.
always chuckle like, you guys have only looked at the surface. You did not look below. You
No,
don't
they never do.
hear how he talks to the girls. Yes, he's very attracted to most of these women, but a few of them he won't fool around with because he's like,
Mhm.
no, 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 that's not
Well,
right. That's not what we're
right off the
supposed to
bat
do.
with Gail Hendricks.
Yeah.
But he was fucking with her, and I
Oh
I
yeah.
like
Oh
watching
yeah.
that. Dean Martin is smooth on screen. I
Ooh,
there's
in
one of the
real life,
funny
dude. How would you like to
the
be that cool just all the time?
I know, right? I know.
Just well, who are you? I'm Dean Martin, baby.
My favorite scene in this movie, though, is when they're riding in the car and she turns on the radio, and
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra comes on, and he's like, "Oh, this guy's terrible," and he flips the station, and it's Dean Martin. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, there we go." I was like, "Oh, that was great. This
What's
guy's
funny is
terrible."
I think that's a running joke throughout the entire series. There's
Really?
always a Frank Sinatra song
Oh
and
shit!
then one of his songs, if I'm not mistaken. It's and those two were such good friends and they were so
Mm,
close.
that's
Dean
funny.
Martin, I think Frank Sinatra does that in one of his movies too.
Oh, that's
Turn
great.
something on, Dean Martin's on there. He's like, this guy's terrible. So they each effed with each other a lot.
That's awesome.
But this movie is basically a spy who's retired gets sucked back in because he's the only spy who can save the day.
For some reason.
Yeah, for whatever reason, because he's Dean
Because
Martin.
he's Matt Helm, damn it.
But he goes in and they're going to set off this nuclear bomb plus
A
some
missile.
other rocket launch thing that's going on and destroy the Midwest and all the farmland
It was
and I'm
actually
sitting there
kind of
thinking,
ingenious what they were doing. They
yeah,
were they detonated a nuke underground, and then we're going to strike the area with a missile, which would then bring everything up into the surface and
right,
spread radiation. And then they were going to blame Russia. And it's like, well, there's so many problems with all of this, but okay, let's go with it. But that was a kind of a neat
yeah,
thing.
yeah. You're
So
like, oh, and I can see where somebody would fall for that, especially now. What could
yeah.
people are falling for nowadays? You're like,
Oh, don't.
"Oh,
Yeah.
back in the '60s, they would have fell for that in a heartbeat."
Oh my God. Now you can't trust anything you see, period.
But
So
Matt Helm winds up real quick. He meets the redhead, Stella
yeah,
Stevens' character, on a poolside, and it is the most
she's great.
sexy, sexist, over the top philandering thing that could possibly happen. Stella Stevens was she was kind of a serious actress at one point. She did some comedy. This is like her big comedy moment. And she's gotten out of the pool. Dean Martin's just sitting by the poolside waiting for the agent that's supposed to be doubling it as his wife.
I
And
love
Stella
this.
Stevens just gets out of the pool and she's got this head thing on that she takes off and she's shaking it out and the water's getting all over Matt Helm and he's just looking at her and she's got her butt right
I mean,
to
he
him.
turns and
I
it's
mean,
right
just
there. It's like,
it's like an inch away and then she bends over. I do not know how many takes this had to happen to keep her butt from actually hitting him in the face when
I
she
know,
bent
right?
over,
It's so funny.
but it's so close and he's just staring directly at her rear end and she's shaking everything on and the water's all over him and then she stands up and when she stands up she bumps into him somehow and he's just like, oh my god, and
Yeah.
she's looking at him, oh, I'm sorry, did I get you all wet, sir? And he's like, yeah, it's okay. Like, just he wants her to go away
Yeah, she
because
don't
she's so
stop.
annoying, like right off the bat. But it was just one of those absolutely perfect 1960s, early 60s, mid to late 60s
Mm.
moments where a woman, this beautiful woman, is just doing something so overtly sexual without supposed to be doing anything sexual in a man's face.
Yeah.
And it's so damn funny. I just every time I see it, I just die laughing. And I'm just like, what do you say to somebody if that actually happens? You know, it's like,
Yeah. This had some really funny moments. My other favorite bit was when he just trying to get to Acapulco. That's all
yeah,
he wants to do. And I forget who it is that asked him, "Well, what's there that you can't find here?" And he's like,
yeah,
"Mexicans." And it's like,
Mexicans, yeah.
I love the humor. I love that. So
I like whenever he asks Lovey Craves it, have you got your inoculations? And she's like,
yeah,
yeah. And she's like, she's pulling down her sleeves so he can see the inoculation mark. He's like, well, if that was if I were a germ, that'd be the first place I'd be going for. And he starts nibbling on her arm, which is funny. It's kind of cute.
yeah,
But later on, when the female assassin is there, she's kind of hugging on him and they're kind of flirting and he asks her the same question, have you got all your shots, have you got all your inoculation? She's, yeah, why? He goes, just an idea. And it just dawned on me, this like, I don't know how many times I've seen this movie, he's looking for a three-way.
he's trying to bring everybody down there with him. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
trying to get
That's
like and I just started dying. I was like, that is such a joke, but the way they spread it
yeah.
out, you don't catch it right away. So that's
I
probably how it
didn't.
got past the censors back
Yeah,
in the
I didn't
day.
catch it. I didn't catch it at all. But
But
you
it's
now
like
that you
he
mention
looks
it,
at her,
yes.
he's like, did you get your shots? Yeah, why? It's just Just an idea, just a thought.
Yeah,
And I'm
so
like, "Oh my god, that is
let
so
me
funny."
let me back that up just a bit for some of our younger listeners. Those of us, Dave and I, I'm sure you have the scar
Old
on your
guys.
shoulder. So there was a time when we were blasted with vaccines, and it left
Yeah,
a circular scar on your arm. You could tell who had
right.
been vaccinated. So uh, I don't know when they stopped. I was born in '70, and I have the scar. So it's
I have a little one. I
it's
like my
hard to see
some of my
now,
brothers
but
and sisters have bigger ones, but I have a
yeah,
smaller one.
yeah,
That head was starting to get smaller and smaller.
yeah. So they started
But,
getting better.
yeah, they said the shots were getting better there for a while. Now it's monkeypox. What are you gonna do?
Yay! Hey.
But anyway, another pandemic coming our way. But anyway, back to the movie. The, he's got that really cool coat. He's gotta go save Stella Steve. Yeah, monkeypox. Thank you.
Anyway,
He's gotta go save Stella Stevens, and he's got this jacket, and on the jacket, the buttons are hand grenades. And they're not just hand grenades, man. They'll
oh,
blow a hole through 3-inch
oh,
steel.
those were the most annoying gadget ever. It
But
made
it
no
was
sense for them to whistle like that,
as a
dude.
little kid, I loved
Oh, that
that.
would have been
I always
awesome.
wanted hand grenades on my jacket that I could
Yeah,
throw.
that would whistle the whole time.
Yeah,
You
they
could
would
hold it; it was
fly.
still whistling like it was
Everybody's
sailing through the air.
dying. Anybody who hears that whistle is dying.
Yeah, yeah, those were cool. The camera with the blades, some neat gadgets. There really
Yeah.
were.
The big laser that was cutting through the mountain that I'm not really sure why they had that laser cutting through the mountain. I forgot why.
I don't
I'm
know
sure
why
there's
you
a
would have
reason.
yeah, you know what? This was the big bad's underground lair.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to make sense. I swear to God, Mike Myers watched this because some of the scenes look very familiar. So,
When I texted you, I texted you earlier about have you ever seen In Like Flint
yeah.
or Our Man Flint? Between Matt Helm and In Like Flint, those are the Austin Powers movies.
Oh,
I
awesome.
always used to
Awesome.
think that they were based initially, I used to think they were based on James Bond. And then I
Right.
remembered watching this movie and I started watching them again. And I was like, oh no, I
Yeah,
see
they're
where he's
not on
getting this
Bond.
from. And then I watched In Like Flint and I'm like, oh my God, that's where that
Yeah.
came from. So he got like a bunch of shit. And he even mentions our man Flint in one of the movies, in
Oh,
one of the
okay.
Austin Power movies. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's so freaking
Yeah,
hysterical.
because I watched this and it's like this is the seeds to Austin Powers.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Welcome to my underground lair,
Oh
Mr.
my God. I want to
Powers.
go watch the Austin Powers movies now. At least the first two. I don't think I've ever seen the third one. So
Uh, it had funny moments in it.
yeah.
The first two are better. First two are way better.
Well,
The
just
first
like
one,
anything, it tends to get old after a while,
first one, I
So
just cried.
oh my God, the
The
first one's
third one, like I
brilliant.
said, had its moments, but all in all, um,
Yeah.
this movie, if you like Dean Martin, I read his bio. Very interesting biography. It's called Dino, Dino. Um, very interesting book. I love it.
Sorry, I have the bingo song in my head
Yes, I
now. It's
know. As
like,
soon as I
damn
said it,
you,
I started chuckling.
Dino. Wait,
Dino,
we're missing a letter.
Dingo, what's his name? The Dingo ate my baby. The Dino
Damn
ate my
you,
baby.
you beat me to it. You beat me to it.
Hey, I
Ah.
didn't eat no baby. Baby, give me another martini.
Dino ate my baby.
Dino ate my baby. I did not. It was a dinosaur. Um, and did you recognize like his voice? Do you remember the old cartoon, The Anteater and the Ant?
Yes, yes.
The Ant had Dean Martin's voice. I forgot the voice actor's name who did that, but he used to be an impersonator back in the day, and he did a superb Dean Martin.
I'll be damned.
That's who voiced the ant.
He did it as Dean. Oh my
He did
God,
it
that's
as
great.
Dean because the ant used to every once in a while have a martini or something and be smoking a cigarette.
Oh,
That's what we grew up on as kids,
yeah.
watching an ant smoke a cigarette and drink a martini.
Oh,
It's
I
like
was gonna
that's
say, getting
cool.
up in the morning, cigarettes and martini for
Yeah,
all. Hey, Johnny, get
yeah.
your ass
Uh,
to kindergarten.
but yeah, exactly. If you like Dean Martin, if you like tongue in cheek funny, and just
Yeah.
fun movies. These movies are not meant to be taken seriously.
Oh,
They are
absolutely
not
not.
meant to be James Bond, but
Nope, and
like
you
with
won't get it.
Sean Connery by any means. They're just fun. They're
They're
just
fun movies.
fun movies.
Or at least I've only seen this one. This is a fun movie. It's entertaining. It's enjoyable. It is goofy.
Right.
It's like, you know, I shouldn't say it's Austin Powers. This is the seeds to Austin Powers. Austin Powers takes goofiness and the jokes are just a mile, just
Yeah.
coming constant. This is just a lighthearted, kind of goofy. I don't know how to describe this movie. It's just a fun. I don't know. I could see why they made several of them and people went.
And they're just that. They are all fun movies. I was looking for the oh, here it is. I got to find it. I wanted to let you know what the big O stood for,
Hmm, thank
because
you.
you and I were Big O is the bad guys or the
Yeah.
big baddies in this movie, folks. And Kat and I were like, why the hell would you call somebody like that the Big O? And the letters in the name of the Big O criminal organization is an acronym. The organization's full name is Bureau for International Government and Order.
This
I
is
never knew
awesome.
that. All the years I've been watching this
That is
movie, I had
awesome.
no
It's
idea.
like ICE. I think they spelled it
Yeah,
with AICE.
yeah, and ICE
American
is
Intelligence. Yeah.
yeah, American Intelligence something or another.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool. I'm watching this and it made me think of movies I'll stop saying Austin Powers because another one that came to mind was Undercover Brother, uh,
my God,
which we
Undercover
definitely
Brother.
have on our queue, folks. It is coming sometime soon.
It is so
So
funny. That's a
absolutely.
good one.
So it is not necessarily a spoof because this is, I would beg to say this might be one of the beginnings of movies that would be spoofed. This
Yeah,
this was not set out to be a spoof. This was set out to be kind of silly, kind of fun, a sexy movie to
right.
get people in the seats. You got Dean Martin, you got spies, you got songs, you got
Mhm.
dance. That's what you expect when you go see something like that. So,
Yeah,
but it's goofy in a way that it's not a spoof on anything. It's like the first of its kind, or at least early on
it
in
was
these type
early.
of
It was
genres.
definitely early on because I don't
Yeah,
know whether our man Flint came first or not. I
yeah.
think they came out
And I'm
about the
sure
same
there's several
time.
in this type of genre of the Playboy
Mhm. Spy.
spy.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
they're not all James Bond, but that's the one we go to. But James
yeah,
Bond, for the most part, has always been serious. The
yeah.
humor is there, but it's different.
It's
So,
usually when James Bond humor hits, it's because he says something smarmy to somebody right after he's killed them or right before he kills them.
yeah,
And you're
yeah,
like,
and
I'd like to be that cool.
and
Yeah,
they did take the names, the
yeah,
naming convention for the women,
yeah, because the
So
women.
it's
And I miss that about the James Bond movies. I don't give a shit. Call me sexist, call me whatever you want. That was funny, and it was a bit of a humorous moment when you have Pussy Galore
mhm.
in a movie.
Yeah. One of my
And
favorites was I think, damn, I forget which movie she was in. It was a Pierce Brosnan one. It was Femke Janssen was Xenia on a top,
yeah,
and she would kill people with her thighs.
yeah,
Yeah,
with the thighs, and
this
she
is
would
Bond.
crush them.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot about that character. Yeah,
yeah. I love the names. Yeah, you had those, but they still do silly names, if I
yeah.
recall. But I haven't watched the last Bond. But
Well, again, like a lot of vagina. Sorry, baby. What do you say? I mean, that. See, he kept that vein of names.
yes,
It's
see, that's
awesome.
just it. Yeah,
But
they all
the
did.
Lovey Craves It
Oh,
is
that's great.
hysterical to me. Like, could you call me by my first name? I don't even know your first name. It's Lovey.
I know that was so
Hey,
funny.
your name is
It's
Lovey Craves It?
well, the whole time he thinks she's a double agent or
Yeah, yeah.
she's on the other team, and it's so funny. But
And Lovey,
they're
I think she's in all four of them, if I'm not mistaken. I think Lovey makes it through all four movies.
their relationship is neat to watch
Yeah,
because it
yeah,
starts as we said, he doesn't want anything to do with her, but that all changes.
yeah,
Um, okay, I got it. We're going to spoil this one, folks. I just maybe a little bit, but I want to
right,
ask you about near the end. I might have missed something
mhm,
with Cowboy being Tina. Okay,
right.
so I almost thought she was saving him and letting him go, but then it looked like no, she wasn't. I was kind of confused there because of the as when she took that grenade and threw it, and then he just left her ass behind, which shocked me.
Yeah,
And
Tina
then
was the one. What was Kalia? What I gotta pull up her name again. I'm
well, she
sorry.
saved him at the beginning.
Yeah, and then I think he saved. I think I took it that he saves her and by leaving her there because I'm not
Yeah.
sure whether she's dead or not. That's a good
Well, she's
question.
not because she gets up, and I thought, okay, it was just an odd moment there. Maybe I just missed a
I
bit,
don't
but
know that she ever shows up in another movie, but
hmm,
I took it that he left her there to live,
maybe
like
so.
like he owed her one kind of thing because
Yeah.
she
Okay.
did save his life.
Right.
I don't think that was a setup by her to get in his
No.
good graces.
Well, see, yeah, I thought it
I think she
was.
was trying to turn him. I think she was trying to turn him to her side, and it
She
didn't
was.
quite work.
She was trying to turn him, and then she was trying, and then I thought, well, maybe she's just trying to get him safe because this was the only way to ensure that he would live, and that was
Right.
kind of the impression I got. But yeah, it was neat. I love the villain. It's
Oh,
just
he's such a
great.
he's supposed to be Chinese. He doesn't look. See,
He don't
folks,
look a damn bit Chinese. This is the whitest motherfucker out on the
this
set.
and yet I will swear by Charlie Chan movies. Watch a Charlie Chan movie, even though they're
Yeah,
played by a white guy. My problem with
that's
this one
different.
is they didn't even try.
No, they didn't even try. So
They didn't even
good,
try to make him look Chinese, other
good.
than the accent.
And the accent was light. It wasn't
Yeah,
horrible, and they kind of
yeah,
sharpened his eyebrows up a little
yeah.
bit and had his hair back. It's a weird way, but it never look. It
The,
didn't come off super offensive.
the funny thing was the only reason you know he's Chinese is
It's because of his
because
name.
of the can of fung was it the soup that he opens. It's
Yeah,
like what the hell was it? Egg foo young soup. It's or
yeah.
something.
They
He's
had
like, it's so stupid. But I died laughing when I saw it. I was like, oh my god, that's so stupid. But that was the only. That's when it dawned on me. Oh my god, he's supposed to be Chinese. He's
I
got
know
these
because I was
big
like at
blue
first it's like
eyes.
okay, it's like wait a minute. Have y'all never seen somebody from China?
You guys could have just hired a Chinese actor.
Oh, they were
Oh,
around.
but that was funny. I forgot about that until you. And Victor Bono is so funny. He because I've seen him play like he's a really good actor when he wants to be. Like when it's called for, he's a really good solid actor. And then when this kind of character is called for, he's such a solid actor that you forget how good of an actor he really is. Because this he just it's almost like he dialed it in, but if he would have tried to have been an actual villain, it would have tore this whole movie apart. If he would have tried to play that part any straighter,
Yeah.
because he had to get it up to a point where he had to stop and go, okay, anything more than this, and it's going to be too believable, and no one would believe that my character would ever get outsmarted by these other people, you know?
Yeah, I mean that, and I got to give him credit for it, and that's a very accurate statement because it's very easy to overplay
Yeah,
that character,
and he's a
and he
good
didn't.
actor. He really is. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I didn't have anything else. That was, yeah,
Yeah, and I forgot
that
about
was it.
Sam Gunther being the cowboy. That's funny. Robert Weber, the actress Robert Weber. But
Yeah,
Tina was really good. Dahlia Levy, that Delilah? I
I
want
don't
to say
know.
Delilah, but there's
You
not
might be
another
right.
L in there. We're going to call for Dahlia. I'm going to go with what you said, Dahlia Levy.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe.
Good actress. I've seen her in other stuff too, and I just can't place her. The accent I think is real. I don't think she
Mhm.
was faking that. I think that was her real accent. And she's gorgeous to look at. So when she walks on screen, initially you think villain, she's the bad guy, and then the
Yeah.
two of them have that chemistry, and they go through what they go through, and you're like, oh, I was wrong. And I remember thinking for the
And no, you
longest time,
weren't.
yeah, I was wrong. I forget, and I had forgotten about her being the bad guy again this time around. So I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. She is the bad guy, you know.
Yeah.
So that was nice. But this is a good movie. I enjoy it. I totally give it a thumbs up. Hearty, hey ho, let's go. You
Thumbs up
know,
from me as well. Check it out. If you
yeah,
like Dean
yeah,
Martin, if you like old 60s movies, there's a lot to check out in this movie. Uh,
yeah, yeah. Boom,
the,
boom.
anyway,
Especially during the
thanks.
dance scenes.
Yes, actually, the
Little
opening
girl
credits.
that goes up the stairs.
Yeah. So, folks, thanks for joining us for this ride into the 60s with Dean Martin and the Silencers. If you enjoy our show, hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe, and we will catch you next week. Laters.
Later.